Get ready for this deep dive. It might surprise you. We're going behind the scenes of a place we all rely on, hospitals, and we're uncovering like a hidden cost of keeping us healthy medical waste.
Yeah. Not exactly the most glamorous topic, I'll give you that,
Yeah.
but it's a growing concern for sure. We don't often think about the environmental impact of healthcare, do we?
No, we don't. We've got some sources to guide us today. A World Health Organization fact sheet that gives us the global perspective, right? Articles from Daniel's Health, and also Global Trash Solutions. Those offer some practical insights. And then we've got this piece by Sophia Cheenath. It's called Sustainability in the Medical Field. Kind of adds a personal touch.
Yeah, these sources paint a really interesting picture of, the challenges, but also the opportunities in making healthcare more sustainable.
Yeah, and the WHO drops a pretty startling statistic right off the bat. 15% of healthcare waste is considered hazardous, so that got my attention.
Wow. Yeah, it's a stark reminder that what happens in hospitals doesn't just stay in hospitals, right? Like the improper handling of infectious waste, that can have, far-reaching consequences.
Absolutely.
Imagine a contaminated needle stick injury or a water source polluted with medical waste.
Yeah.
The impact on human health is potentially devastating.
Yeah, it doesn't even bear thinking about. And Cheenath's article really lays out the sheer variety of waste we're talking about. We've got used needles, bandages, radioactive materials, expired medications. It's more than just the ick factor of, the blood and tissue.
Exactly. And even something as seemingly innocuous as just paper contributes to the problem. It's the sheer volume of it all,
Yeah, it really adds up. So what do we do with all this waste? The WHO says incineration is the most common disposal method. Seems like the easiest way to just get rid of it all, right?
It is effective in reducing the volume, that's for sure, but burning medical waste, that releases pollutants into the air. We're talking potentially harmful pollutants, even carcinogens in some cases.
Right, so we're trading one problem for another then. That's a tough trade-off.
Yeah, it is. The WHO does highlight these modern incinerators. They use this gas cleaning technology. So that's a potential solution, they say. And this tech traps harmful pollutants before they're released.
Oh, so it's using the same technology, but sort of in a different way. I mean, but that probably comes at a cost, right? I imagine financially and in terms of the energy. It makes you wonder, is it really a sustainable solution?
It's a great question, and it speaks to how complex it all is, finding solutions. There isn't always a clear right answer, is there?
No. So it makes me think then, what can hospitals do to minimize waste in the first place? Both Daniel's Health and Global Trash Solutions, they suggest that hospitals can really make a difference by being proactive, taking some measures.
Absolutely. It's about shifting the focus from dealing with the waste that's already there to actually preventing it from, happening in the first place.
Right. Yeah, so one strategy that Daniel's Health highlights is conducting these waste audits. And they found that while hospitals can reduce their waste by as much as 15% and they can save money, they're saying upwards of $20,000 annually through these audits. Who knew something that sounds so boring could be so impactful?
Really goes to show the power of data in decision-making, doesn't it? By understanding where their waste comes from, hospitals can identify, those areas for improvement.
Yeah.
And then they can put in targeted solutions.
Yeah, and the solutions themselves don't have to be complicated. I mean, Daniel's Health also points out the power of, those simple swaps, like switching to paperless communication, using reusable containers, and choosing that more energy-efficient equipment. It's amazing how those small changes can collectively make a real difference.
That's the beauty of it, right? And these practical steps, they also reflect a bigger trend we're seeing. It's what's called a circular economy in healthcare. So this idea of a circular economy where we're minimizing waste by reusing, by recycling, it's gaining traction in healthcare.
Right. So we're talking about reducing the waste at the source, reusing wherever possible, and then responsibly recycling the rest. Feels a lot more hopeful than just burning everything, doesn't it?
It is. It reminds us that sustainability isn't just minimizing harm. It's about finding those ways to operate within, the natural limits of our planet.
Yeah. Global Trash Solutions bring up a point which seems really obvious, but it's crucial. Waste segregation protocols. So I'm guessing this is more than just separating paper from plastic.
You got it. You don't want to be mixing like chemotherapy drugs with regular medications, for example. Proper segregation, it protects everyone. Healthcare workers, the environment, even the public. It's literally a matter of life and death.
Oh, wow. And that makes it even more important that hospitals are aware of and adhering to their state's regulations, right? For medical waste disposal.
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. Responsible waste management, it requires that you understand and follow the specific rules and guidelines that are in place.
Yeah. Now, Cheenath makes this really interesting point that resonated with me. This isn't just an issue for healthcare professionals, is it? It's something we all have a part to play in.
Yeah, I totally agree. The choices we make as individuals, as a society, they influence the demand for more sustainable practices. Public awareness, that drives policy changes, and it drives industry innovation, too. Can you imagine the impact if every patient asked their doctor about their clinic's sustainability efforts?
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like those reduce, reuse, recycle campaigns we see. They only work if people actually change their behavior, right? We can't just assume hospitals are going to magically become sustainable on their own. We all have a part to play.
Exactly. And the more we talk about these issues, the more likely we are to see real change. Raising awareness is that first step towards a more sustainable future for healthcare. It really is empowering when you think about it, that even in a field as complex as healthcare, what we do as individuals can actually contribute to a more sustainable future.
It really is, yeah. And Cheenath points out that, healthcare workers, they can be really powerful advocates for change, like within their own workplaces. I mean, they're the ones seeing this waste firsthand every day.
Exactly. They have a unique perspective, don't they? They've got the credibility to push for better practices, better policies. They could be the sustainability champions inside the hospital.
Yeah, they're leading the charge from within. But what about the rest of us? Those of us who aren't on the front lines of healthcare? I mean, what can we do?
Well, as we said earlier, raising awareness is huge. I mean, the more people understand the scale of this problem, the impact of medical waste, the more likely we are to see systemic change. Having conversations, sharing information, even asking questions, it all makes a difference.
So it's not just about making sustainable choices ourselves, but actually encouraging others to do the same. And maybe even, like nudging those in charge to make more sustainable decisions.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. Don't underestimate the power of consumers. As patients, we can advocate for sustainable practices at the hospitals and clinics we go to. We could choose providers who prioritize sustainability, ask about their waste management policies, and make those simple requests, like using reusable items whenever possible.
So it's about using our voices and our choices to really push for change. Every little bit counts, right? Speaking of choices, what about those alternative waste treatment methods that the WHO mentioned? They sort of hinted at other options besides incineration, like autoclaving, microwaving, and steam treatment.
Oh yeah, those we're looking into. So incineration is still pretty common. But these other technologies, these emerging technologies, they offer some promising alternatives. Autoclaving, for example, it's already used a lot to sterilize surgical instruments. Basically, it uses this high-pressure steam to kill off those microorganisms. So it's a safe and effective way to treat certain types of medical waste.
So instead of burning the waste, we're kind of sterilizing it with intense heat.
Yeah, that's the basic idea. And then there's microwave technology. So this one can actually decontaminate waste. How it works is it uses microwaves to heat up and destroy those harmful pathogens. It's a pretty efficient option and environmentally friendly.
That's really interesting. I would never have thought about using microwaves like that. What about steam treatment? Is that similar to autoclaving?
It is similar, but it typically uses lower temperatures for longer periods of time. Both methods work well for sterilizing waste, but steam treatment might be better for certain materials that can't handle those really high temperatures of autoclaving.
So many different approaches. It seems like there's a lot of innovation happening in waste treatment. It's good to know that people are actively trying to find, those better solutions. But I have to wonder, are these alternative methods more cost-effective than just incineration?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, there isn't a simple answer. Costs can vary depending on a lot of factors. The type of waste, how much of it there is, the technology being used, even local regulations. So every healthcare facility needs to really evaluate its own needs and resources to find the most responsible and cost-effective approach.
It's like a giant puzzle, isn't it? Trying to figure out the best way to manage all of this waste. And the pieces are constantly changing with these new technologies and, our understanding of the environmental impact. But at least it sounds like we have options, which is a good thing.
It is, and exploring those options is so important if we're serious about reducing the environmental impact of medical waste. We need to be open to those new ideas, willing to challenge the status quo.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive. We've gone from those stark realities of medical waste to imagining hospitals that are havens of sustainability. It's been an interesting journey, I have to say. It was a little unsettling at first, but I feel a lot more hopeful now.
I agree with you. It reminds us that even with all these complex challenges, there are always those opportunities for positive change. And the best part is we all have the power to be a part of that change.
Absolutely. So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, let's leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question to ponder.
I like it. Let's get them thinking.
Imagine you're designing a hospital from scratch, a truly sustainable hospital. What would be your top priority? What innovative features or practices would you include to minimize the environmental impact while still providing, the best possible patient care?
That's a great question. It really challenges us to think outside the box and imagine a future where healthcare and sustainability go hand in hand.
Maybe one of our listeners will be the one to actually design that hospital, that eco-friendly hospital of the future.
Now, that would be incredible. It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating challenge, isn't it? Thinking about redesigning something as essential as a hospital, but with, sustainability at its core.
It really speaks to this larger shift we're seeing across so many industries. This idea that sustainability, it's not just about minimizing the harm, but actually creating a positive impact.
It's about going beyond just reducing our footprint and actually thinking about, how we can make the planet healthier.
Exactly. It's about changing our mindset, right? From just minimizing the bad stuff to actually maximizing those positive contributions to the environment and society. And that's where things get really interesting because it pushes us to be more innovative, go beyond just those small improvements.
It's about asking ourselves, how can a hospital not just avoid doing harm to the environment, but actually be a force for good? What if instead of just, reducing waste, a hospital could actually regenerate resources, even reduce pollution, and promote well-being in the community?
Now you're thinking big. Imagine hospitals with rooftop gardens that provide fresh produce for the patients and staff, solar panels generating clean energy, and rainwater harvesting systems to reduce water consumption.
I love that image. And what about incorporating more natural light and green spaces into the design, to create a more healing, restorative environment?
Absolutely. Those things have such a positive impact on, both our physical and mental well-being. And we can't forget about the potential for using those sustainable materials in the construction and those energy-efficient equipment throughout the facility.
So many possibilities. And the exciting thing is that so many of these solutions, they don't just benefit the environment, but they also create a more pleasant, healing environment for, the patients and the staff.
Exactly. It really highlights how interconnected it all is, doesn't it? When we care for the planet, we're ultimately caring for ourselves.
Well said. This deep dive has given us all a lot to think about, hasn't it? We've gone from the stark realities of medical waste to imagining these hospitals as havens of sustainability. What a journey.
It really has been, and I hope it's sparked some curiosity in our listeners and, that desire to learn more about it.
Me too. And remember, even those small actions, they can make a big difference. Whether you're a healthcare professional, a patient, or, just a concerned citizen, we encourage you to keep exploring those ways to promote sustainability in healthcare and, everywhere, really.
Because at the end of the day, creating a healthier future for all of us, that's a shared responsibility.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of medical waste and sustainability. We'll see you next time.